Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Insert Name Here. It's a podcast about nothing for nobody. If you take it seriously, you're redacted. Let's start the show. Hey,
What's up?
hello, and welcome to Insert Name Here. It's a podcast about nothing for nobody. If you take it seriously, you're redacted. I'm your co-host, Doug Bennett.
And the heartbreak is one thing, my ego is another. I'm your other co-host, Seth Nacho. How we doing, everybody? Welcome to this special recording today.
Yeah, a special report. This is INH Presents Elliot Rodger, The Ballad of the Supreme Gentleman. Authored by me and co-presented with the beautiful, lovely Seth Nacho.
I prefer handsome, but yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, so we've been promising this, well, I've been promising this for a while, and now we're finally doing it. It's the big shebang. The day has come. This is my day of retribution.
This is your day of retribution. By the way, guys, on Spotify, we just dropped a little exclusive for all you people on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just that little intro clip of the...
Oh, that's right. So, secondary warning for the visual-only people. Content warning, bad, awful stuff. If you know about Elliot Rodger, you know, murder's worse. So, there's still going to be regular content that's later on down the line in the video. I think I'm pointing in the wrong direction. I'm telling them to go back to the start right now.
Are you telling them to look at me? I don't... Hi!
I'm like trying to work the screen.
Yeah, what the timeline looks like with
But
the
yeah, so
video?
just
The bar?
probably like this part of the bar.
Okay, whatever. I'm not putting a timestamp in the description. No, maybe, we'll see.
If I have to, I'll go comment it.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'll pin your comment.
Oh, pin it.
Put a pin in it.
Pin it real good.
So, The Ballad of the Supreme Gentleman. Elliot Rodger. This was many years ago, right? So,
Yeah, 2014. So, actually, so this summer, this May, would have been the decade anniversary. Oh, how time flies.
how it does. Because it still seems pretty recent in my memory.
And you know what I didn't put together until I was like deep into this document I prepared is like this was some of my peak scrolling years on the Chan. So like I was consuming all this as it was happening in real time. No wonder it made such an impact on me. And so of course I just want to bring it to attention because it has relevance to what's going on. I do have some prepared words on it, sort of a grand statement, and then we'll...
Yeah, so Doug is gonna you're gonna read this first part, and then we're gonna go back into the weave.
Dodge, dip, duck, diving, and dodge. But so, Elliot Rodger, by the end of his life, had reached a truly twisted point of no return. Misguided expectations of his place in the world, what he was owed, and his inability to look outside of himself warped his ability to see the humanity within others and led him to view his only recourse as a blood-soaked day of retribution. There is a secondary tragedy at play here, though. For if his detailed retelling of his life is to even partially be trusted, those closest to him largely chose to ignore his struggles due to his amiability during times of ease, or relied on the hope that he would eventually get it, and his issues would resolve as they do for most when life fully gets going. In reading his manifesto, one is given the sense that Rodger was possessed of enough intelligence to make much better of himself than he eventually did, and parts of the tale, particularly revolving around familial and social emotional growing pains, are sympathetic or even relatable. Thus, without excusing any of his wrongdoing, The Ballad of the Supreme Gentleman serves as a harrowing account of the fragility of youth and our broader responsibilities to one another.
One more time, that last sentence.
Yeah. The Ballad of the Supreme Gentleman serves as a harrowing account of the fragility of youth and our broader responsibilities toward one another.
Broader responsibilities toward one another and the fragility, I like to say adolescence. Fragility of adolescence.
That is quite verbose of you.
Yes, well, you know.
Yeah, it's quite flowery.
My lexicon is large.
Indubitably.
Oh, God. You gotta put some perspicacity on this one.
Good.
So that is to say that Elliot Rodger had a lot going on in his life, and it wasn't just one thing. It's kind of multiple things that led to this.
It was pretty much everything, actually.
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused. If you listen to the Spotify exclusive and you just heard that clip and everything, I'm a bit confused just about why he was so set on this. You mentioned it in your thing there that he had expectations.
Yeah.
And I wonder where those came from.
So
I guess traditional media.
Well, kind of, and it mostly would have had to have been that.
Because that's kind of what I think of, movies, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. Really, show you what love is supposed to be like. Well, supposed to be like.
It is certainly a model of romance.
Yeah.
One of many that you can intake.
And it can kind of inspire what you think love is supposed to be like, and then life ain't like that, bro.
No. And then, obviously you're gonna end up modeling your love expectations off the love you see in your life as well.
Yeah, also that, yeah.
And that definitely heavily plays a part into this. So I guess kind of the best thing to do here is just...
Where do we begin at? Where do we start?
Let's just start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Where's the beginning? His birth?
Yeah, the beginning would be his birth. And
Really? Okay. Okay.
So he was born in London, England.
He's born in London?
Yeah, so...
I thought he was an American citizen.
No, definitely not by birth. I don't know if his parents helped him fix that up, but he was born to one of the most successful commercial directors of all time, fucking Peter Rodger. You've definitely seen almost anything he shot.
I know he did the Hunger Games.
When it comes to things like Coca-Cola, Nikon, etc.
Oh,
so when I say commercial,
commercial.
it's commercials.
Yeah.
He did have, he tried to break into Hollywood. 2009, he had a flopped documentary called Oh My God, which is just, he talked to people of all different faiths and walks of life on what their conception of God was.
Who was the guy that did that better? What was his name? The other guy, he did a couple different documentaries.
The main documentarian everyone knows, there's two. There's Michael Moore and there's...
Michael Moore's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So he did a religion one.
Yeah, he did a religion one. That's what I'm thinking of.
So...
But yeah, anyway. So Peter Rodger tried that, and then...
Yeah, ended up bankrupting him, which Elliot was very salty about. He was just like, my father's not in a place to help me do better in life. He fucked his shit up, and now my shit, I have no advantage. And they grew up very wealthy because of Peter's work, obviously.
Right, yeah.
Now, Elliot's mother, she was a set medical worker, like a full-on registered nurse. So, also a relatively high earner for...
Nurses are middle class, but if she's working with her husband, I guess, you said set medical worker, she was on set to help if any medical emergencies happened.
Yeah.
So she probably had a different, a little bit more pay, right? Because you'd probably work that out. Give her a little bit,
Yeah, I mean,
That's
just
my life.
in the past 50 years, they definitely live in the mid to upper middle class. So you combine that with
I would say because of the director status, yeah, they definitely were wealthy.
So combine that.
Brother, I know that he drove a BMW, right? Didn't Elliot drive a BMW?
Yeah, that didn't come till a lot later on. That was the last big gift his mother got him, and we'll get into why they did stuff for him like that. But so very successful, and not long after comes his sister, who it was often a point of contention. He viewed her as a rival for whatever reason, rather than
Sibling rivalry?
yeah.
It's pretty normal, I feel like.
Yeah. But
how much-
not to this degree.
How much younger was she?
It's usually
Couple
a
years?
year and a half. Definitely not this, two grades separately at least, but You know how grades work.
Yeah, but so they were pretty close in age.
Yeah.
Explains the rivalry.
So,
When your sibling's like way younger than you can't view that as a rivalry.
no. No, but close enough that there was, you know, the interplay, and then when he was disagreeable, he was very disagreeable. So it resulted in a lot of his sister getting the favoritism between the parents and sort of being more the golden child, which he turned into even further resentment being firstborn. When we get into the stepmother years and some of what he feels about being his father's successor, and yeah, it did not help he basically stepped into life already down one on the positive female relationships column, is what we want to note about that. Now, the crazy part about this manifesto, and why I say that you have to like take it with a grain of salt, is he writes in great detail about like the years of life nobody actually has solid memory. So a lot of it is, what's that word that people use?
Okay, not grain of salt.
No. Embellishment is the closest one. I feel like there's a better
Hyperbole?
one. Hyperbole. Yes, thank you.
Exaggeration, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that there, but
Yeah. Dude, I have like vague memories from like when I was like 2, but like no, I cannot recall like what exactly was going on, you know?
not even close. The important thing is he recounts all of the England years, so like from 1 to 7, very positively. Even his outside of the family relationships with children of his age. He was like, those were the times when we were still children, and we just existed, and there wasn't problems, and they still paid attention to me. Ridiculously sensitive young boy. He's like, and everyone tells me that I would cry all the time at everything.
Okay.
Yeah, a notable instance of that being they rented a theme park for like his 5th birthday or whatever, and there was an E.T. ride there.
A theme park for what?
His 5th birthday.
5th, okay.
Yeah, remember,
These are 15.
We're talking about rich people, dude.
Yeah.
They do stupid stuff for kids who can't appreciate it. But he got like a very mild, like Winnie the Pooh's Wild Adventure E.T. themed ride. It's like, it was so dark and scary, I cried the whole time. Looking back, it wasn't so bad, though.
What a pussy.
Yeah, really, and that's... We're
A
gonna
big quivering pussy.
we're gonna see how that pays off for him later on in this chronology.
Right, yeah.
But they move to America, and things are fine at first, and the family is still happy and together. His parents get divorced not long after getting to America.
Okay.
And this completely shatters any illusion that he has that romantic relationships are positive, just to begin with. Like multiple times through.
So you said he was 7 when they left England,
Mm-hmm.
and they got divorced shortly after, so he was still a young child. But because his memory is so good, I guess. Which, well, granted, 7 years old, you probably remember some stuff. So, like, divorce is pretty fucked up, right? Like, you know, like, we all know that,
Yeah.
like, just in general, like, I think I talked about that one divorce before, remember? The guy, his daughter was making fun of him. And then,
The
he was like,
magician, yeah.
and then he was like, yeah, I gave you guys $4 million. But yeah, divorce can be really crazy, especially like, I think it turns into kind of like a hate thing. Like, people want to get at each other. Like the mom and dad, obviously not Elliot, but
Yeah.
like they're like, people do crazy shit to each other during a divorce because they resent each other. It's like a resentment. Like I'm gonna get one over on you, you know? It's kind of like a thing. I don't know why it's a thing, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
If it was me, I'd take the high road. Like I'd be like, okay, we're getting divorced, that's fine, you know? Like, I mean, I get it. You don't want to be with me anymore. Okay, we'll work this out. I would not, while you're at work, come to the house and steal all the furniture. Like, you know, I wouldn't do that. You know, that's not me. That's not me. But like, some people, that's them. Like, for real, that's them. So, yeah, so divorce can really shatter that. I can see where he's coming from.
But as good as those points are, they're very real. And with all that room for embellishment, none of that did end up happening. They did the ideal both sides high road
They did?
situation. Yeah.
Oh, you made it. I thought it was gonna. The way that you said it made that love thing, I was like, oh, they probably fucked each other up.
No, but like he's very.
Maybe rich people are different.
I mean, when you're doing things like being the best at commercial directing of all time, and sometimes dating George Lucas, like maybe you're too busy to be petty to each other.
Okay,
This is where I slip in this fun fact.
sure.
His mom dated George Lucas for a significant amount of time, enough that Elliot got invited to every red carpet premiere of the Star Wars prequel trilogy.
No wonder his dialogue is so bad. Oh,
Doctor.
Enchanté, doctor.
But yeah, no, they just like were constantly always making sure that the day split was fair and
Yeah, okay.
that their things were taken care of and they were getting the attention. Well, not really the attention, but getting the things they needed. A big thing that you see is for as much as Elliot recounts details and relationships in his life and dynamics that he had, it is never either of his parental figures or any of his potential like father, mother, or mentor style figures devoting any time toward him or helping him develop as a person, which is a very important kind of relationship to have.
Wait, one more time. What was it?
Yeah, so neither of his parents nor anybody in his life who could have kind of served that supervisory mentor style role was devoting time into his emotional development, like helping him figure stuff out, things like that.
Yeah. Like actually talking to him and like listening to his feelings.
Yeah,
The sensitive boy that cried at everything.
yeah,
So he had to deal with it all internally as a child.
yeah.
I remember what that was like. Nobody helped me. I'm just kidding. I had some people help me. But yeah, I get that. That is not good.
No, it resulted in him being in and out of schools a lot,
They should have probably taken him to a counselor, like a therapist or something.
and that happened. Usually,
But no, I'm talking about earlier.
well, I don't know how much earlier you can do it. Then I mean, what good is putting a 5-year-old in with a counselor? Dude?
No, that's not what I meant. I meant like a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I'm talking about like in primary school, he would. That's also part of the process of changing a school, being like, hey, my kid is withdrawn and bullied, and
Yeah, there's like counselors at school, yeah.
yeah, and so, and
Yeah, like, okay, this is getting pretty personal, okay? But at a school that I went to, when I was like in primary years, but I don't know if you call this that primary, it's 3rd and 4th grade, I guess. Is that primary enough?
yeah, then I would say 5 starts middle, and then 9 starts high. So
Well, like, oh, 5th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, there was like a program for, kids that had divorces in their families to like talk about it and be with other kids and like, you know.
support group
Yeah. There was that in my school.
probably could have helped in this situation.
It was called the Rainbow Club.
That's not what it would be called today.
And it was taught by the football coach.
Is this the cartoon home videos?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, hey, man. Hey, you know. But, yeah, it sounds like Ellie Roger had no support work system at that time.
For sure, especially from the kind of figures that should have been looking out for him. School counselors noted a lot of things, and you come to find this later in life. He does get put on the autistic spectrum with an official diagnosis, but they noticed the constant things of, you know, murmur speaking when being addressed, like talking,
Yeah, mumbling.
or just like excessive stimming, and then obviously the lack of ability to adjust to socialization can be a potential indicator to seek a diagnosis as well. So just kind of a mess, which caused him to become very reserved. This guy's a big time gamer. So much video games. Very invested in that. With a deep love of Pokemon that helped him form some of his few friendships that he had in life. The one major lifelong friend he had, James Ellis, they bonded over playing Pokemon cards. Later on, when Elliot decided to retire from Pokemon because he heard girls saying that it wasn't cool, where have we heard that line before, J.D. Vance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, about Magic the Gathering. I was like, that sounds so familiar. Crazy because Pokemon and Magic are closely kind of related in rule set.
Yeah. But he turned over that shiny Charizard he was so proud of to his best friend as both an act of endearment and an act of retirement.
That means his friend has a lot of fucking money now. You know how much that thing's worth?
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't do usual kitty shit with it, if it stayed in a binder or some shit.
Yeah, right, yeah. If it got any destroyed, that sucks.
Yeah,
For those Charizards are very expensive.
We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Is it 100,000? That was like 15,000, like 1,500? No, not 1,500,
like 150,000. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, like the best ones, obviously. Run of the mill, you're still looking at like a couple grand if you can get it graded at a decent mid grade.
yeah. Anyway.
So stuff like that. Well, I didn't realize that internet cafes were even this big at a point in his life where he could leave the house and go to them.
So he's not 7 anymore.
No, we're
Yeah.
we're definitely glossing over years and years at this point because it would cut this down a lot. It was getting too repetitive to go year by tragedy, by event, by drama.
Yeah, I don't even know this internet cafe. I've never been to an internet cafe, I don't think.
Yeah. He was able to make sort of like friends through his hobbies or whatever, and the time he was spending gaming at home.
And this is back when it was harder to do that.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, we're so connected online, especially like on video games and stuff. Like you can make friends pretty easy on like an online video game, even if it's, the friendships online. You don't see them, but But back then, oh my god.
So he would get sucked into his own world.
Yeah.
Turbo nerd for World of Warcraft.
He was that quiet kid that was messaging online to other people and just like stayed in his room.
Yeah. At
No
work-
wonder his dad didn't want to talk to him.
True.
He probably didn't want to talk to his dad.
This was this is probably the best place to dovetail in the stepmom character here.
Okay.
So his dad did end up remarrying kind of pretty quickly around the time that he was 9 or 10, and he points this out as yet another tally down in the anti-women column and a column of I respect my dad less. How could you move on so fast? This is ridiculous. Do you even know what love and commitment is? Like,
Okay, 9-year-old. You know what love and commitment is?
I don't think he thought of it at 9. You got to keep in mind the thoughts I'm relating of his were the thoughts that he was having at 22 when he did this. Or no, I'm getting the math wrong. He was 23. Yeah, fucking the perspective can really change. What you probably didn't think at the time, what you think you thought at the time. A lot of us could say that about ourselves, even.
So, in other words, this is like him reflecting on it. But,
Yeah.
So the dad got remarried. Why is that a point down for women? Why is that a disrespect for the dad? I understand it's disrespect for the dad because he said he moved on too quickly, which is silly. 2 years or 3 years, 4, that's fine. But why is it? What happened? What was the stepmom doing?
Yeah, she was the, I guess, only real source of discipline for him.
Ah,
Kind of looking at it, she
which is a good thing.
yeah, if
In reality, it's a good thing. Maybe for Elliot, it wasn't a good thing. But
yeah, if you
normally, it's good to have some discipline in your life.
if you adapt to it, you end up being able to appreciate it.
Yeah, that means someone cares about you.
So not the way he saw it. That was the mean evil lady who didn't let him play enough video games.
The evil stepmom, the classic archetype.
Classic trope.
Yeah, right. Like that's what we're getting at here. This guy talks in tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Like his views on love so far seem like tropes.
All built around. A lot of what he played was fantasy stuff, and then he had the same aptitude for films as well. A lot of exposure to film, his dad being in the industry that he was, and then living in the Hollywood area, the greater Los Angeles area.
And seeing the prequels.
Yeah, exactly. So, definitely.
Padme and Anakin, you know?
Yeah, to be so insulated, like at that level of wealth, and then not really have any counseling. Of course, you're going to build up your worldview around the things that inspire you. Just living in fairy tale land, essentially, is the point I want to make with all of that stuff.
Okay.
So, managing to find his little loser reject pocket aside, as he's moving into middle school, this is where things get more tense and more worser. I have this in my notes as he was one shot by middle school girls, which is a funny way of saying this is the point in his manifesto that he marks as knowing that he was never going to get a girl and writing off women as a possibility for himself.
In middle school.
Yes.
And what exactly, like, did he like try to ask girls out?
Yeah, well, he suffered from shyness. So
Right, yeah, he's like a little, like, I mean, like,
almost
how are
exactly.
you going to get a girl like that?
You're not. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, so like, so he just was like, he like said, hey, Stacy, Stacy, and then the girl didn't even notice him talking to her, and he's like tapping her on the shoulder, she's like, look, what the fuck? And he's like, will you go out with me? And she's probably like, dude, I don't even know you, what are you talking about?
So that was a big factor of it, and then there's a lot of resentment from watching other boys his age successfully engage with girls.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but like, the fact that he wrote off after getting rejected, whoever knows how many times, wrote off women entirely in middle school is crazy.
Well, the third factor there is the both the perceived and real negativity that he received from the girls themselves. Obviously, all children are snippy, gossipy.
Dude, 8th graders are the worst.
They're really true.
Middle schoolers can be mean as hell.
So,
Mean as heck.
yeah.
HE double hockey sticks mean.
Yeah, we all know the context there, but there's... I didn't write her name down for the sake of brevity, but he recalls several interactions of essentially a female bully that he had.
He was one of those boys bullied by girls.
Yeah, in a way that girls do, where it's like big public call out, saying mean, nasty stuff, blah blah.
Yeah. I feel like that me and this guy have a lot in common.
Yeah, so that's the heartbreaking thing about going through this. For as much of a loser that he was, there was an unfortunate amount of it that was kind of relatable.
I'm not gonna call myself a loser per se. I mean, you know, back then maybe I sort of internalized what people said about me, but like nowadays I look back on it like, you were a horse girl. I don't give a shit about you.
It's kind of like
Do you guys remember horse girls?
Hey.
Literally putting stands down in the band room and jumping over them like a horse on all fours. You're not that cool, bro.
Good lord.
Calling me a freak? You're a freak.
That's called projection.
Hey, you know what could be? That could have been projection. I don't know.
I
never analyzed what I went through. I just put it all behind me.
Yeah, quick. This is one of Doug's secrets to success in life. It's a good tenet. It's almost always projection.
Okay. Well, the past is a foreign country, is what I've heard. You never visit it.
That's a good one too.
Never go back.
But ha cha cha.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah, his life, women were not positive to him, it seems. I'm guessing these friends that he had online and the friends he made through the interests that he had were not women.
No.
So he just had no positive interactions because his sister is a rival, his stepmom is being mean to him, and his mom is kind of not showing him enough affection and attention.
She's working, and then a thing that he noted was that he notices this in terms of like she never brought around guys that she was dating, anything like that.
Which is kind of normal from a female perspective. Usually you don't want a guy you're dating to meet your kid until,
Yeah.
you know. Well, I mean, when they're older, it's a little bit different. But like when the kid's younger, you don't want to like introduce a guy that's just going to disappear at some point, right? So.
But if you read between the lines on that, you realize that between work, her still dating, and then just her general reservedness, outside of her mothering, she was living, like, she was living her own life, and also had kids at home that would he split time with the dad's home as well. So I guess she was fulfilling the caretaker aspect, but if you read between the lines on it, you're like, how much parenting are you doing? And it doesn't seem like you're doing any, because he recounts, like, for multiple years of his life, he was putting in, like, 12 to 14-hour days in various online games.
So are they, yeah, so he's like a shut-in, like, doing all that.
It's like go to school, come home, go to room, or go to internet cafe, repeat.
Yeah, and don't really see your parents that much.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Really, there's just a compounding effect through this. The important through thread, remember the friend James from earlier,
Yeah.
stays on a parallel track to Elliot in regards to this primary issue of women and romance for as long as Elliot does, pretty much all the way up until the very end. Also remains a kissless version, but this is like the meme of the guys that are on the bus, and Elliot's the sad one that's looking into the side of a mountain being like, oh, I'm a kissless virgin, and the friend is like looking out into the bright sunny sunrise being like, I'm a kissless virgin.
What?
It's the same guy. They're on the same bus.
I've seen the meme. I'm talking about why does the friend have that perspective?
Yeah, but they get into some of their later talks. They're very scholarly. They're very Renaissance men. They would
Okay.
it's gonna
There's
be-
some real academics.
They would go on essentially these like emotional constitutionals, like when they would meet up IRL.
So they stayed friends throughout their whole lives.
Yeah, and once they
Elliot's whole life.
yeah, they ended up going to different high schools, so they would have to meet up, and they would go on long walks together, grab a meal, walk back, and that.
So he did have some good friendship.
But yeah, they would talk about life and stuff, but you know how it is. It's different talking to a peer than it is a mentor. It's someone who can...
For sure, but at the same time, you get to formulate your thoughts, but then you don't necessarily take what your friend is saying completely to heart, maybe. But like, what kind of perspective did his friend have? I'm just curious. Do you remember anything?
So what James essentially would tell him every time is just like, I don't focus on the negative stuff. Like, it's going to be okay. James did not understand Elliot's resentment, and Elliot did not understand how James could not be resentful.
Okay, so in other words, Elliot's like, what the fuck? I deserve to not be a virgin. And the other friend's like, why do I give a shit about that? I just don't care. Kinda. Like, he's like, thinking like, oh, it's fine. It'll be okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting. Interesting perspective on that. I wonder what kind of life he had. I wonder what gave him that outlook.
He probably had...
Because honestly, like, as a pubescent teen, like, that's all you could fucking think about. So, like, I don't know what kind of life he had. Maybe he was a late bloomer.
Now, this lack of mentoring relationships, and that's a great point into this segue. Obviously, with no mentors, he never got the talk about girls or a sex talk in general.
Yeah, that sucks. The education system failed. There's supposed to be some sort of sex ed, right, in school.
Not in these rich schools, really. But
Nope. Keep that. Don't talk about sex to my kids. I'll tell them.
if they don't know it exists, how can they do it? But so the first time that he ever saw a naked human body was involuntarily. Someone just sent him some nudes in a chat room. It was like, hey, check these out.
Okay.
And he reflects on it as being shocking and jarring and, quote, at the end of my childhood.
He got groomed.
I mean, essentially, in a very loose sort of way.
Yeah, but I mean, the person who sent it to him was probably also his age, right?
Right.
Yeah, or something, right?
Well, everyone on the internet's already a man, so...
Okay. Yeah, only adults go on the internet. Anyway.
So, like, but, you know, he knew that girls were beautiful and that he wanted them, but...
He'd never seen one.
No,
And I'm guessing this is at an age where he hadn't even considered looking up porn.
no.
Where you Google boobs.
No.
You know?
Even after that, he didn't seek it out on his own at all. He did eventually discover himself. Those are some of the hardest pages to read in the document. That did not...
Gross. You talking about masturbation?
Yeah, a lot.
Ugh, okay.
But,
That's interesting.
Yeah. Then the other major pornographic experience was a few years later when he was in there alone with another person, another client of the internet cafe. The other guy didn't think anyone was in there, so he was watching porn videos on a different computer. And that was the first time that Elliot saw any sex happening. And he was like, that blew his mind even further. He's like, people do this to each other, what the fuck? And it just further confused and confounded and bewildered, and a fourth adjective
Whatever, yeah.
really twisted him up.
Perplexed.
Yeah. But knowing what it was now, hardly even believing that it could be real, when it came up around his peer groups, when he had classmates claim that they had already had sex or whatever, like, he would re-out, he would start fights, and which would not really be fights, because this kid was not athletic. He was a
because ass beat.
real bundle of sticks. But, yeah. And just nobody to talk to, nobody to explain it, nothing to do but be resentful and get beat up over it. Just really failed by pretty much everybody in his life, even his best friend. Be like, I don't get what the big deal is. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, his best friend also, like, going through similar shit, you know, and just not caring, so. He had no sympathetic soul that, like, felt the same way as him. You know? He had no one to relate to,
which
is what it sounds like.
it
Except
very
maybe people online. I don't know what his friends online were like, but.
that only does go so far, as we all know. But so that would just compound so many different events over the next really 5 years of his life. Like we mentioned earlier, his dad went bankrupt, and that really frustrated him.
Yeah, so as soon as when that happened, he was like, what, in high school probably?
No, he graduated early, and he didn't really intend to go to college at first.
Of course he graduated early.
So
academic that he is. Yeah, because like you said, he was like 23 when he committed the atrocity, which means because he was in college when that happened.
Yeah,
At 23, you should have already graduated.
for sure.
Per se.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you how to live your life. You know, graduate on your time.
If you hit all the nonstop benchmarks.
Yeah, if you do the average flow and go to college at 18, when you're like right after high school, and 4 years later you get your degree, you're 22. It's just how it works. So but the fact that he graduated early, but he's still in college at 23, means that he took some gap years.
A lot of gap time. I don't think he never completed more than one single class, and a lot of the times he was going back to school was to continue getting his lifestyle funded by his parents.
So in other words, he tried it out and he went real slow, and he was like, I hate this, but then he was like, I gotta keep going though, so that my parents think I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But
I've heard of that before. I think I've seen that before once or twice.
yeah, interesting here, he rushed to get high school done, and he quit video games, because for as much as he had written women off, this was his one goal. This was his one solitary goal, his entire life, his ultimate purpose: lose his virginity. Wonder where we've heard that before, Chris Chan Lovequest.
So,
But he notes that he cleared up all this time, and his goal in life was he was excited to brood about these psychosexual fixations he was having.
so he rushed high school. That makes sense because he's having a terrible time in school. Like, people are bullying him and all this stuff. But like, honestly, that's where you find the romances usually, so that's kind of crazy. And then he quit video games because girls don't like video games. Oh man, what a time we live in now, you know? Girls love video games now. Sims. But anyway,
So he
yeah.
is aimless other than this fixation.
And once you get out of school, it's even harder to meet women and shit, so.
Incredibly hard. You basically have to like either take what you get at a bar or like.
And this is like kind of before Tinder and everything, so.
So this fixation aside, he is kind of aimless, and ultimately he decides that he does need to go to college in order to get around women and try and find one. He picks going to Villa. Is it Ista Villa or Villa Ista? Isla Vista. So he picks that community because there's a community college he can go to that's low state. He was inspired by the movie Alpha Dogs, which is a bunch of like, pretty high profile casting list. It's just about this guy who lives in Santa Barbara and deals drugs and fucks women. He's just like, oh, that must be the thing. I have to move to this part of California.
He watched a movie and was like, I'm that guy. That's my new personality. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit.
He was one of those guys. I mean, that's a classic thing that a lot of people do, right? Like, you watch a movie and you're like, I'm going to be like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Very
That's
unfortunate.
me with Drive.
Where's the jacket then?
That was me like years ago, okay, buddy? Like, Drive came out a long time ago.
But
Just say the Pledge of Allegiance in your head before you talk to anybody.
so the college years were
Yeah.
just him doing all of the wrong things. Like I said, not actually attending a lot of class, a lot of wandering town, posting up at bookstores, coffee shops, doing walks, constantly hoping to just bump into the phrase "just one woman" comes up a lot in this document. He's putting all this on he's putting all this on a meet cute, essentially. All the while growing deeper and deeper and more resentful. There's a falling out period that he has with his father because of his stepmother. Obviously the only adult in his life who was constantly sick of his shit.
So, did his father get money back at some point? Like, did he start becoming wealthy again?
Yeah, he just started doing more commercials.
Okay.
Also, I think Hunger Games came out in 2012, and this incident happened in 2014, so things were technically on the upswing. A lot of it either funded by savings or his mother's career for this little stint here in his late 20s. I mean, his late 10s, excuse me.
Teens.
Teens, yes. And like I said, we could detail, all you need to know is it just gets worse and worse. He does all the wrong things and blames it on everybody but himself and his expectations. The last really notable thing before we'll dive into the incident is he gets turned on to manifestation because his dad gives him a copy of The Secret. And
And what is that?
it's a book about manifestation, basically. The concept of if you wish for something or if you think about something hard enough in the right way, you make it happen in your life.
Okay, yeah.
So he takes this knowledge.
The girl equivalent of making a visual board.
Yeah. He takes this knowledge and his obsession with wealth
Well, now women manifest in general.
that he's now tied to. If I can't get a woman socially, if I can't get a woman through school, then obviously my path to women is through wealth. So he takes these three things, spins them all together, and pins his hopes for the future on winning the Powerball.
So he's going to win the lottery.
Yeah. So he manifests for a month and drives to Arizona 4 different times to enter the lottery 4 different times. Obviously, he doesn't win.
4 times to get a lottery ticket. That's not a great success rate.
Yeah. And by the 3rd and 4th trips, he had already been coalescing on this day of retribution idea, started purchasing firearms.
Yeah, he's like, if I don't get it this time.
Yeah. He'd do a range day here and there, just be like, if I don't win the fucking lottery, I'm gonna kill all of you. And the day of retribution, just fucking really sick how much he detailed it. I'm not gonna go too much into the details, but he wanted it to be a 3-day thing, a full 3-day thing.
Alright, well, hold on. Before you do all that, so this whole time Doug has been referencing Elliot Rodgers' manifesto, which is a written document that he wrote, like, at the very end, right?
Yes.
Recalling all this stuff. He also did a lot of vlogs.
Yeah, he did 26 vlogs. All of them came out in 2014, like February through May. They're gonna play in here in a second.
Yeah, but I just wanted to reference that there was a lot of material online.
Yeah. The vlogs, we'll cover them right now. The vlogs were funny because he posted them onto YouTube and then posted them on various forums, mostly incel forums, but also bodybuilding forums, linking them to Reddit.
Bodybuilding is crazy.
And one thing you never want to do on the internet is show weakness. And he got eviscerated, which all the more galvanized him to do what he eventually did.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and fast forward to this point. The Day of Retribution original idea was a 3-day plan, where the first day he was going to kill his 2 roommates after torturing them. lure as many people as he could back into his apartment and torture them like medieval style. Like he details out like 5 or 6 different methods in graphic detail.
Good lord.
It was. I can take a lot of things, but it made my stomach turn.
That's kind of twisted.
Personally.
That's kind of sick and twisted.
He said, I'm going to purposely, hopefully they're attractive so I can make it even worse for having sex, because if they're attractive, then I know that they've had sex, which is more than I've ever had. It got really demented toward the end there. I cannot stress enough like how sick this kid was. But after achieving that, day 2 was going to a sorority house, and he figured out who the quote-unquote hottest sorority was at UC Santa Barbara. He's like, I'm going to kill all of them and burn their house down. Another quote, now who's the superior one? He writes that in the text. It's wacky shit.
Yeah.
And then day 3, which I don't think he understood that all this was going to have to take place very fast. He was very psychotic at this point, breaking from reality. Day 3 was like, and then I'm just going to go out into the world and kill as many people as possible. And in a very dark and morbid way, I want to stress that the reality of this isn't funny, but his idea for the capstone, he's like, oh, I refuse to be imprisoned, so the way I will commit suicide is swallow as many pills and liquor as I can, then put 2 guns to my head and shoot them both at the same time. That way if the guns don't kill me, the liquor will. Just, that picture made me darkly chuckle. I was like, you idiot. After reading all that, I was like, oh, you're retarded. So.
Yo, he's detached from reality. By this point, he is gone.
Yeah, and the last couple pages devolved into like a bizarre super villain-esque reimagining of the world in his perfect image, which included things as like women getting reclassified as animals and never being allowed to make a choice or hardly even speak, or it got really bad.
Some really male chauvinistic bullshit.
Now, the way this eventually panned out was, for all his grandeur, and he did hurt 20 people total. The day he went out to do this, he killed 6 people, injured 14. He did get both of his roommates and did not have time to torture them or whatever, but he moved on to phase 2 after that. Got only 3 sorority girls, but did injure several more. And then, in his mania, just drove to a random deli, shot a random guy, then drove around just essentially doing hit-and-run style stuff. A cop shot him in his hip through his car, which caused him to crash. And once he crashed, I don't know if he did use 2 guns or not, but when the cops pulled up onto the vehicle, he was dead from a gunshot wound to the head. So obviously he ended up taking his own self out.
Yeah.
So, pretty dramatic. It's one of the kind of the bigger incidences of somebody doing an individual level of violence to that degree, at least in the modern era, or the documented era that we know of. It did inspire a copycat killing in Toronto, Canada. 2018, somebody took a van and got like a couple dozen people with it. To this day, it's still Canada's biggest like vehicle as a weapon crime.
Okay.
Yeah, just really, really upsetting stuff. It's not as bad as he wanted it to be. Still pretty bad.
Yeah.
But.
And those sorority girls, that wasn't even the college he went to.
Mm-mm.
So he just showed up.
Yeah.
They're like, who are you?
He had this idea that when he started revenge seeking, he was like, I need to take my revenge on the people who are most emblematic of what I don't have. So, of course it's going to be, I don't know, it feels weird saying that like Greek life people of that age bracket are peak, but I feel like they also get represented like that a lot in media.
No, it's really it's literally that. It's literally what you just said. They get represented like that.
So, of course it was going to be.
Real life is way different from what you see in media. So, like, he perceived that, oh, sorority girl? Oh yeah, that's what I need to take out.
But I guess I can kind of cap off the end of this here with why exactly did I find this story compelling to talk about, other than the fact that it happened in our lifetime. Like, because this guy was basically our age. Like, this could have been easily one of our peers.
Yeah, he was a little bit older than us, I think.
Same diff though. Like,
Yeah, like a couple years.
So yeah, it happened in our lifetime. He's basically our age. On paper, from the outside looking in, he should have had everything going for him. How does somebody get to a situation like that? See the rest of this talk leading up to this moment. And then the third thing is he was not at all the first incel, obviously, but he was the inciting incident for the rise of incel subculture on the internet, or the way that we've seen that topic be talked about for the past decade. So that was kind of
all the things he was like saying, really, are what they say. The bad incels, anyway.
yeah. So
The ones that are negative.
yeah, it's just and I hope to any viewer listener out there, this should serve as a notice to not throw around that term so casually. Not to venomize people who are just having a hard time. This guy's attitudes and outlooks on the world and life and people that is what inceldom is. It's not some guy that's mad that one girl rejected him, or it's not some random. It's not an insult. It's a. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I understand. It's kind of like the problem with kids today, and like pedophilia. They call everything a pedophile, and it's like, no, that's a very serious thing you're saying right there. You can't just say that about anyone.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like, I guess with incels. What you're saying is like, that's very serious. Like what you're saying is these people are very negative towards women, and their outlook is warped. Whereas like a dude that just gets rejected and is down on his luck and down bad and just like, bro, like women suck, man. Like women suck. I can't do this. That's not an incel.
If some guy some guy tries a cringe pickup line on you, that doesn't make him an incel.
Yes. A nice guy isn't necessarily an incel either.
But it is often the first step on the path.
Yeah.
If a nice guy turns into a nice guy and talks about how come on.
Like I have somewhat. I think some of the things are true. Personally, like if you're not attractive enough, then you are a creep.
Well, yeah, it's
And you're not actually a creep. You're just viewed as a creep because you're not attractive enough.
so.
But once you get to know people, then you're not a creep anymore.
And
So like, there's like this thing you can do, But like, when you're strangers and if you're not attractive enough, and you go up to a girl at a bar and you say something to her, you're a creep.
yeah.
But if you're like a good-looking dude and you like go up and you say, "Hey, can I get you a drink?" It's like, "Oh my God, yes,"
Yeah, looks are the cheat code. If you can develop some charisma, the game changes again. So,
Yes.
So that all said, yeah, that's really the takeaway here. Is in some ways this can kind of happen to anybody. Obviously, we see that the majority of where all this resentment came from was just like an utter lack of support.
He was failed in his life.
There was so many times, so many waypoints along the way that he could have pulled off this path, or someone could have pulled him off this path. And not everybody who goes down this path goes this far, obviously. And I don't want to. This is not to redeem him at all, but I wanted to put this together to examine how does somebody get to this point. And yeah, I think that about covers it.
And he really detailed it.
Yeah.
So
If you want to, it's out there. Just look up Elliot Rodger Manifesto. Who has it? usarchive.org. So it's a good, I think it's either a collegiate or government resource, so it's not going anywhere. And if you want to see the Day of Retribution video, go to New York Times. They still have it. One of the only things they still have, the failing New York Times. You don't got a lot of time for anything else, but if you want to take it out on probably the one fun news topic of the week,
Sure.
And this is
We can talk a little bit more, maybe. We'll see. But, so, yeah. Vow to the Supreme Gentleman. Today, Roger, like, really, just a sad existence.
a tragic life.
And then led into a big tragedy that didn't need to happen.
Not at all.
Yeah, I just feel depressed.
Yeah. Well, so let's pull it back a little bit here then. Our girl's in trouble, dude.
Our girl?
Our girl. Oh, I don't know. We kind of flip flop on her.
Oh, wait, yes.
We kind of flip flop on her a lot.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
You know, for the purposes of this, our girl's in trouble. Hawk 2, a girl did escape.
The Hawksuckers are in trouble this time around.
Oh, no.
Jesse made another one. Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called. What was the coin called?
I don't know. Who cares?
Hawk to a coin?
It was probably just called Hawk to a coin. But it was a $50 million rug pull, which is crazy. That's... If you think about, not to judge, but I feel like the people who are still all in on Hawk to a Girl at this point maybe don't have thousands of dollars to be throwing around. They're probably just regular people living regular lives. So any amount of money that you put towards something like this, and if you don't know anything about crypto, which almost nobody does, if you don't know anything about it, and you can pretty easily be sold, oh, this could be a good idea. And if we're being charitable, I've seen some people say that maybe even Haley herself was scammed.
Right. And we're being charitable.
Yeah, but the thing is, the text messages got leaked. The people that she was working with have done rugs before, not quite to this scale, but they know how to get in, get out, get it done. And they made it clear to her, it's like, oh no, we're all making some money. Them a lot more than she did. Out of this $50 million, like she probably only saw a couple M's. Most of this went to the people who
Set it up. Yeah.
But yeah, she really speed runned a whole hero to villain arc in 6 months.
And she might be facing jail time.
Yeah, it depends on to the degree that they can pin any actual fraud on her. Because even with the messages leaked, it's like we got to go look and anytime someone goes to jail, it has to be by the book, by the law, and nobody in the crypto scam game has gone to jail yet for anything except for Sam Bankman-Fried, and that's really just because his team sold him out. His one main coding partner, she figured out how to pin it all on him.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, go from talking about spitting on that thing to having a somewhat successful podcast to scamming people of $50 million.
It's like really a 30-second viral clip turned into like a multimedia world tour and a show co-signed under people who have been successfully making internet money. Like, let's be real. If you're going to go with anybody, if you're going to be on anybody's podcast network, it probably should be the Paul brothers.
To be successful, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just wild. Fucking 6 month speed run. That clip was in June. We're in December now.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm aware. Crazy.
Another fun thing, actually, they solved the math sofa. Do you know about this?
No.
So, yeah, I think they just call it it's a long, they say the whole concept in the name of the problem, but it's the optimal way of rotating a sofa around a corner. They're trying to find the mathematical proportions of it or whatever. Mm-hmm. It comes out to
for movers. This is the movers math.
No,
model.
this is not practical at all. This is just pushing the limits of mathematics essentially. But it ended up coming out to like this kind of shape, like a weird like bikini bottoms kind of looking dealy.
An hourglass?
Almost. It's like so imagine an hourglass. Let's crunch it in a little bit like we're Bender, so we have like two flat sides here. It's also not a sofa you would want to sit on.
Yeah, what the hell is this? What the hell is this couch?
But if you look up the math sofa, you'll be able to find an image of it. But it was pretty cool. The first guy to pose the problem did it like 50 something years ago, and
Well, this has been an ongoing thing.
yeah, it's like I said, just pushing the theoretical limits of math. Like, how do we rotate an object of this shape around a corner?
Not as crazy of a math problem as I talked about on the Season of Knowledge, but
N+1.
because that one is still unsolved.
But, so that was cool. Just I love seeing people push their fields forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. But like at the same time, okay,
What can you do?
let me hire an all girl moving company, and we'll see if they can use the math sofa problem to really,
Yeah. I could go.
We all know chicks are good at math.
They're the best, dude. It's called girl math for a reason.
It is.
It was on sale for it's usually $500. It was on sale for only $250. I saved $250. Girl math.
Yeah, I had 7 olives for dinner. Girl dinner. Man, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, maybe next we'll get the physics sofa or the chemistry sofa. That'd be cool. I'm excited to see what chemicals make up the sofa and how we can find the perfect combination of substances to really make the best couch.
Yeah. Can we turn the math sofa into an actual comfortable piece of furniture?
Can we optimize the sofa for comfortability?
Now we're asking the real questions.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, that Hawk coin, man, that was crazy though.
Dude.
The rug pull there, like, it is crazy. The people still fall for that shit is crazy. Like after all the examples we've seen.
Yeah,
I think the only good example of like a rug pull that wasn't a rug pull, I guess, was Dogecoin. Remember when Elon invested in Dogecoin? Because Dogecoin is one of those coins that's fake like that.
yes and no. It'll never make anybody rich because of the way they coded it. It's going to infinitely print. There will always forever only be more and more Dogecoin. So it's naturally inflationary. It doesn't matter how much of it you buy. If you could somehow theoretically buy all of it that exists right now, in 3 days, it's going to be worth exponentially less because more has been printed and there's nothing you can do about it.
But Bitcoin's the same way though. There's an algorithm that prints more.
Well, there's only going to ever be a finite amount of Bitcoin. Like once it gets done, once all the Bitcoins are mined, that's it. So that's why people call it digital gold. And if you can get your amount, get a large amount as you can now before there's none of it left, and it's theoretically going to be worth more and more the rarer it gets. Every 4 years, the algorithm codes half as much as it used to per block on the chain.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay.
it'll be a while before that's done, but that's why you see every 4 years the price shoots way up, and every 2 years, every 4 years in between that, Olympics style. So every 4 years, woo, and then the 4 years that are offset, and the whole crypto market goes off of that cycle.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I guess it's not. I guess it's finite. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I will not ever do a crypto episode, but like, I have like a 45% understanding of that space.
I am not a crypto guy.
All I can say is, you are equally as unlikely to strike it big in crypto as you are to strike it big at a casino or on a scratch off.
Yeah, it's kind of like gambling.
Yeah, I mean for most people, unless you're big fucking brained or you're super tech.
I feel like that and like stock market, like the people that like they're like, yeah, I day trade as a hobby. It's like, okay, well, you're kind of gambling.
I mean, out of the three of those, your stock market's your best bet.
Best bet. It gets the INH seal of approval. Ding!
This is a pro-capitalism podcast, so hashtag pro-cap.
No cap. Pro cap.
I feel like I could go for probably another 2 hours, and I feel like probably no one wants that.
Did we already? Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Would you part me a shot, please?
sure. Guys, you already know, twitch.tv/Seth_Nacho411. Please check out the Twitch. Blow it up, make it big, share it with your friends.
To the moon.
Do all the stuff. Monday and Tuesday evening. For right now, anyway. It's been a hard week this week. My body is tired. My body is sore. Honestly, though, it's crazy to me because I'm pretty sure my friend is still a kissless virgin.
Nothing wrong with that.
And he is a great guy. And I've never seen him ever be negative about it, for real. Maybe a little. Maybe when he gets really drunk, he was a little negative a little bit, but not too bad. And I hope that if anyone out there is that's watching is like prone to resenting women because of whatever's happened in their life, I hope that maybe you can learn from this example of the Ballad of the Supreme Gentleman, and maybe realize that don't do anything drastic, and life will get better. It's okay.
Yeah.
Women aren't everything for men, and for women also, men aren't everything.
Yeah.
You
Really, nothing is everything. You gotta have that balance.
Whoa. I think nothing is nothing, buddy. I don't know what you mean. I know what you're talking about. But, there's more to, there's tons of things to do in life, Worry about yourself first, honestly.
Thank you.
But I do share that feeling of wanting to share your life with somebody, So, just keep your hopes up a little bit. It's one of the things of humanity, keeping your hope up. Pandora's box. Sometimes seen as the worst of all the things she released out of the box.
What, hope?
Yes. Because that was the one thing, right? She released all the terrible shit, and the good thing she found was hope. Maybe it wasn't so good. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. You already know it's your boy Kafka's Maze. You know where to. Don't look at me like that.
You're such an academic, dude.
Dude, everybody knows about Kafka's Maze.
Everybody knows that Doug's a scholar. He reads books.
At least one a year.
I'm pretty sure it's more than that.
A book a year's enough for this queer. I couldn't help myself.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, you already know where to find me. You know what I'm doing. Mostly reposting. Coming up to the end of the experiment of Twitter Premium. X-Preem. So, might not be on there as much in the future. But, that could probably be really healthy too. Regardless, you can find me here every week. So, as far as a parting shot goes, practical piece of life advice that I learned from a viral video on the internet. If you're ever getting run up on while you're pumping gas, if someone's trying to attack you and fuck with you, run up on you, run your pockets, steal your shit, here's what you want to do.
Steal your chain.
Take the gas hose that you're actively pumping out of whatever you're pumping into. Just cover the shit out of them with gasoline. I know it's expensive, but your life's probably worth $6.
A gallon's only like $3, I guess it's like $5 in some places, but still. A gallon is enough to drench someone in gasoline.
They will like it, they will stop, and they will fuck off. And if they don't, make sure that you take that lighter that you always carry on you. No, don't do that part. But definitely douse them in gasoline.
Yeah, make them smell like shit. That'll ruin their whole day, I'll tell you that. They probably won't be happy with you.
That's okay. You don't need them to be happy with you. You just need to do what you always do, which is chop wood, carry water, and most importantly, Xiaohongshu.
24 degrees. The Queensland harsh summer heat. I'll be sweating buckets up and down the street. Cause there I spied the bloke, perched atop of his milk